There was a kind of door that had a weird design. People who were in the room needed the key to unlock the door. This man rented such a room. Recently, he unlocked the door and forgot to the key out, then ran straight to his room to get the phone. Unfortunately, the door got slammed by the wind. He was trying to open it, but the doorknob was broken. He couldn't believe it, as he was about to meet up with his girlfriend. Last night, he just cleaned up the whole apartment, because he wanted to surprise her. He was trying to open the door with a pair of nippers, but the screws didn't even move. Calling the apartment company for help seemed to be the only way. After explaining to them for a while, his phone was about to run out of battery. Luckily, he received a call from a staff specializing in unlocking doors. He was rushing to pick up the call, but the phone turned off when he hadn't even told his address. He then went to charge his phone, also turned the air conditioner on. But then the electricity was overloaded. The charging light on his phone was suddenly off, which freaked him out. He tried every single plug in the house, but it still didn't work. He thought he may ask his neighbors for help. Unexpectedly, nobody was outside. It turned out that this apartment was located in the corner of an abandoned floor. He then got extremely frightened. He was trying to bang on the door and break the lock. Because of being too frightened, he accidentally hit his hand, but he didn't care about the pain on his hand. This guy immediately ran to the balcony to call the security. Unfortunately, this apartment was on the 35th floor, which means it was impossible to call somebody on the first floor. He tried to calm down and used the bottle of water that he bought yesterday to clean the wound. The water has been cut off. How long could he survive with the other half of the water bottle? He took the battery out trying to rub it into his pants, in order to make some energy for the battery, but it still didn't work. He then ran out of ideas, so he just kept screaming on the balcony. But nobody heard from morning till night. He drank some water and ate a bit to get some energy, then kept sending a signal for help. But lights sparkled everywhere in the city, so nobody saw his flashlight at all. The next day, there was still no water and electricity. The other half of the water bottle also fell off. He kept banging on the door, using every single tool to hit the door, but the door was still unharmed. He looked around, then stared at the TV, and made a crazy decision. On the second day of being captured in this building, he threw the TV straight to the first floor, but the security didn't notice. He was lying down and completely focusing on the radio. After that, the man came up with the idea of using his toothpaste to write on a piece of carton. Write words for help on it. Unfortunately, the carton didn't land on the street, but the roof of a nearby house. He hasn't given up yet, so another piece of carton was thrown, but this time, it landed on the roof of another building. He had to write another one, but the toothpaste was gone. He rummaged every corner of the house, looking for a pen, but there were no pens, so he peeled the new skin on his wound off, and then ended up using his blood to write. Success or failure depended on this time. He threw the carton in fright. He made it. The carton dropped on a balcony of a family. He then just needed to wait for somebody to pick it up. The sun went down. Finally, someone went out to collect clothes. He was excited, giving signals, even taking off his shirt to get some attention from her, but she didn't see the carton on the ground, so she just went back inside after collecting her clothes. He then got disappointed. Furthermore, the last pack of crackers also got stolen. He turned around and saw a rat staring at him. He was born with a fear of mice and rats, so he immediately ran away, accidentally hit the door, and got fainted. On the third day, he heard a sound from water dripping, so he woke up and saw the water faucet was running in the kitchen. He was about to get some water there, but he saw a rat tail, so he hesitated. He turned on other faucets, but none of them had water. Only the one in the kitchen did. At that time, the water flow gradually became smaller. The water would run out if he didn't get it now, but the annoying rat was still there. Hence, he had to stare at the water until it stopped flowing. If you were locked in a room on the 35th floor with no water and electricity, or even no neighbors to call for help, what would you do? This man tried to write a signal with his blood, and even used his underwear to make an amateur rubber gun. No matter how hard he's tried, nobody knew he was stuck there. Until the fourth day, the security guard eventually saw the carton with his signal for help on it, but he held it upside down. It turned out that he couldn't read. Luckily, this woman saw the carton on the ground and visited the address. However, the security said nobody lived here. She was not assured, so she still went upstairs and checked. But the higher floor she went, the darker it was. Finally, she gave up. A new hope that had just come had been extinguished. No more choices. He decided to set his house on fire to get attention. He was so happy seeing the fire getting bigger and bigger. But not long after, he realized that he would be burnt to death if the fire kept burning like this. Then he had to extinguish the fire. On the fifth day, he got exhausted because of no water. In order to survive, he needed to drink his urine. But then, he threw up everything. No food, no water. He was losing his mind. Eventually, he fell on the ground waiting to die. At the same time, he saw a cockroach that was trying to flip over and get up. He also cannot be inferior to a cockroach, so he used his last energy to get up. Luckily, God still gave a way to save him. Suddenly, it rained. He revived one more time, took a shower, then brought everything that could contain water to get some rainwater. He got everything to keep fighting. Until the 6th day, he used his rubber gun and caught a dove. But he just only ate cooked food. He told his girlfriend that people who ate raw meat would meet retribution sooner or later. But the one who met retribution was him. After he was confused for a while, he decided to grill the dove. Unexpectedly, the rat has stolen his dove within a second. He was pissed off catching that rat. However, he didn't eat it but made it listen to him, since he was so lonely. Until the 7th day, he used a piece of a broken mirror to observe other floors. He found that there were no fences on the 30th floor. As long as he could go down there, he would get out of this place. But the problem was how he could climb off the barrier. He looked at what he had in the house. The only thing he could use was the broken blade. As long as he could break one bar, it was enough for him to get out. He started using a blade to cut an iron bar. When he was thirsty, he drank water. When he was hungry, ate ants. He didn't only cut with the blade, but also burned it for 3 days in a row. But it just left a small cut on the bar. Knowing that his rainwater was running out, he didn't dare to waste time. But the bar didn't change no matter how hard he tried. On the 11th day, he found out that cockroach was dead. He put his shoes on, ran to the balcony, and tried for the last time. After a lot of kicks, finally, the bar has broken. He climbed down step by step. When he reached the 30th floor, his legs weren't able to touch the balcony. He was rushing to take off his belt. He tied one side tightly in the balcony on the 31st floor, and held the other side by his hands. Luckily, he could touch the balcony. He carefully climbed down, knowing that he would die if there were any mistakes. It was lucky that he made it, banging on the door in the front, running straight to the apartment and opening the door. The door was locked, so he felt relieved. He started going downstairs, and finally got to the 1st floor in a tired body. He wanted to speak to the security a lot when passing him, but he kept it and didn't say a word. When he met his girlfriend again, unexpectedly, she got married to another man. Since then, he started living alone. One day, he went back to the apartment on the 35th floor where he was hopeless. Looking at the bar that took him a lot of efforts to break, he finally understood that pain in the past would strengthen you little by little.